Welcome to the session. This session is Becoming an Online Learner, Time Management and Explorations of Canvas. So during this session, we will explore the GRC's online learning management system, which is Canvas, and discuss how to be a successful online learner. Everyone is gonna be different, but we will do our best to cover most of the strategies. My name is Taian Zheng. I am the Dean of Branch Locations for Academic and Program Development. So you will see me at Kent Campus, Enumclaw Campus, Auburn Center. You will see me on main campus as well. My background is ESL and Chinese instructors. So I've been teaching for more than 15 years. I did a lot of online trainings for teachers. So hopefully today, a lot of strategies are based on my students and when I was supporting students through the courses, some of the challenges, and I hope that information will be helpful for you. Feel free to ask questions. Every question is a good question, okay? So in this workshop, you will gain strategies on how to be a successful online learner. You will know how to navigate Canvas, such as assignment, discussion, quizzes, grades, and communication. And feel free to ask me any questions, post it in the chat, and we will get you covered. For tips for online learning, we are going to talk about it in several categories. One is mindset. Second is time management. 3 is learning environment and building support. But if there's other things that you would like to know, feel free to let me know, okay? Because online learning is different. First, I want to ask a question. How many of you have taken online classes? If you have taken online classes, please respond yes. If you have not, and this will be your first time, just type 1. That means first time. So you'll just respond in the chat room.
Okay, we have Luca says yes, Jessica 1, Aaron says yes, PK 1, Alberto says yes, Danny Najera says yes.
Great, so it looks like we have probably half of the people has yes, and then
Yes.
half people that's the first time. So for people who have taken online classes, just share really quick from number 1 to 5. 1 as it is so easy, nothing to worry about. 5 is like, I was in panic mode. I actually prefer if I don't have to. So 1, it's at ease. 5, it's that it puts you at a huge tension. And for people who would be taking it the first time, just give us a little perception. What you think? I guess I will be at 3 maybe.
So we did have Jeff said he has not taken an online class.
Okay.
And we have Alberto saying 1 to your last question.
Great.
Danny says 3, had to spend some time figuring out the structure before understanding. Aaron 3.
And some people might have been still just thinking, right? Knowing this is just knowing, you know, where is your anxiety level before you start, and what is your feelings before you start learning. Because the higher the intensity and tension is gonna block your learning. So I hope that this session can lower your numbers. And Alberto, who's at 1, you know, feel free to share some strategies whenever you want to. Okay.
And Lucas said it can a 3. It can take time to hear back if they have a question.
And I will respond some strategies there to hear back from instructors. And so I will make sure I make a note. Okay. Great. So we are going, so now you sort of know your friends who is in this room, who they are, and have they taken online classes before. So first thing is about, I think it was it Jessica that mentioned that you sort of have to figure out the structure before you started learning?
Danny.
Annie, okay. So Annie is actually right. Many of my students who first taken the classes, even though my classes face-to-face and consider flipped classroom, my students use a lot of online stuff. They actually feel like they will need to learn how to learn. And if they take it fully online, you might be feeling really, really struggling for the first 2 days, trying to figure out where everything's are at, how is the class being structured. So, but before the quarter even starts, I'm going to ask those questions. Is that, are you a morning person? Are you a night owl? Do you have kids that needs your attention? Are you a visual learner? Are you audio learner? So there's numbers. If you are a morning person, give me 1. If you're a night owl, you can say 2. If you are a morning person with kids, you can give me 1 and 3, and identify yourself if you are a visual learner or audio learner. Okay. Those are going to, and you can respond in the chat room. So you can sort of know, where everyone is at. And this will help you identify some strategies to start learning.
PK says 1. Alberto said 2. Danny is 1 and a visual.
Good.
PK is also visual. Luca 1 and A and visual.
Okay, good. So
Aaron 1 and visual.
Okay, so it's good. Did you notice that people who are in this session, most of them are ones, the morning person. So that's great. You're picking the right time for your learning. So if you are a morning person and you're an early bird, then you want to make sure that the first thing that in the morning is try to set a time aside for your online classes, because that's where you might be more productive. Some students who are night owl, so if you later on in your class, you notice your classmate in the online classroom, since this quarter almost all our classes are online. So if you notice your friend is struggling, if you notice that they are night owl, then recommendation for them will be to count back 5 hours before they go to bed. Because morning person is easy, that you get up and you set yourself ready in like an hour and then you start learning. For night owls, they have to count back for 5 hours. That's usually I recommend them to do, because after 2-3 hours of learning, you're fatigued. And that still have 2 hours allow you to be a night owl, enjoy the nighttime. For a morning person, once you get the learning done, you move on your day. It sounds like we don't have someone who has kids here. So I'm not gonna talk about if you have kids, the situation, because you just need to then assess, what are the schedules that your kids would have, and then build around it. For a visual learner and audio learner, it is important to identify yourself, understanding what's the best way for you to learn. So if you're a visual learner and your instructor give you a lot of videos to watch, which is very possible, a lot of YouTube videos or just instructional lectures, you might want to consider that to print it out, the transcript. And you can request it to the instructor. Just say, I'm a very visual learner. The video is wonderful, but is there a transcript that I can read through? You might also then, most likely that if you have a print out assignment would help you. For audio learners, that you just need to make sure that you do dedicate time, allow you to listen to the lecture at a quiet environment, because that means that you draw to audios a lot more. That means you pay also more attention to different sounds that's around you. So those are just some things that we can start thinking just to get ourselves ready. And if you have any questions and things that I didn't mention, feel free to let me know, okay? Besides learning about yourself, the other thing would be treat the online classes as real classes. Imagine this, if you are in face-to-face class, you go to class that your instructor will be there. When you're distracted, they might tap you on your shoulder, remind you to stay focused. Online classes, no, it is all you, no one is there. So you want to have that mindset knowing that this is a real class. I need to have a dedicated time for it. I need to plan for it. It is very easy for people to put it aside and then later on having really challenging time catching up. Second thing is holding yourself accountable. Holding ourselves accountable is always very challenging, right? Like sometimes we would say, okay, I want to do this, but then it's like, oh, the other thing is more important, and then the priority gets shifted. So the recommendation that I usually give to my students in my Chinese and ESL classes is that set a goal and then write it down on a paper, tape it right next to your computer. So sometimes I tell students that if you want 4.0 from my class, just write 4.0 big and write Chinese and then tape it right next to your computer. The thing is that those will help you look at it, or the goals of, oh, this week I will have 2 hours on certain assignment. That will allow you to see it, and every time you see it, it triggers our brain to react, to think, what does it mean, the piece of paper that's right next to my computer. That's one way to make it accountable. The other way would be having a friend. When you are in the online classrooms, have a study buddy. You can do a virtual study buddy, and to check on each other, to keep yourself engaged. The other thing would be actively participate. Sometimes we would think, oh, I just want to make sure I have a full hour dedicated for a particular class. And then you will notice, oh, I don't have a full hour yet. I will just wait. But the thing is that in the online learning environment, 20 minutes is not too short. So if you could be before your dinner plan and you're cooking, you're just waiting for your water to boil to cook an instant noodle. For example, I love instant noodles. And so within that time that you're waiting for your water to boil, you can check either on your phone, on your computer, in the discussion board to say, hey, is there any new discussion topics? Usually discussions are short and can be done in 20 minutes, that you can finish, post one or at least responded to one or two. So this will allow you to actually participate and then have you engage in it. So those are just some strategies that some mindset shift that people have to make, that to make ourselves more proactive in the learning environment. So is my speed okay? Is it too fast, too slow? Feel free to let me know in the chat room, okay? Otherwise, we will move on to
Lucas says it's good.
Good, okay. So
Alberto says okay.
Thank you. Yes, the more feedback I can get from the chat room, it will allow me to also adjust, what would be the good pacing for you. So time management. Before the quarter starts for online learning, first is to look at, what are the factors in your prior commitments. So typically it would be someone had planned a trip, family has a trip, they have to be gone. But at this time, we are all stay home, stay healthy. So I think we are all in town. But look at, are you working? If you are working and you are in the essential business or essential industry category, then yes, you still need to report to your work, you still need to work. So you want to look at your work schedule and then look at, how would I manage my work, my life, and then my study together, and factor that in. If you have particular big event, you want to have those dates in your calendar even before the quarter starts. So it's there for you. When the first day of the quarter, once the Canvas is open, once the online learning management system open, look at the syllabus at the beginning of the quarter. You want to mark down what are the major assignments, what are the key things in order to help you get the best grades, how is the weight being calculated, is there participation points, what was the arrangement in the class. So the syllabus is a very important thing for us to, get to see what it is. Next thing is to check class discussion daily. So discussions are places that people can post questions, and a lot of times if you missed it, then it's harder because it's a long chat discussion. It's going to be harder to find the answer. So if you can just check it daily, at least, then you wouldn't be overwhelmed. Okay. Next thing is make notes for major assignments. Major assignments usually has a heavy weight, and it would take you longer time to complete it. And so you want to make sure that if you are taking 2 or 3 classes, as long as it's more than one, you want to make a note of all major assignments across all courses, and then put it in the calendar. So you sort of see how you're going to balance your studies across all classes, because it's possible that you have, let's say you have calculus on the week 3 with a very big project, At the same time, you have another maybe physics class that has something big due on week 4, which means that week 3, you would have to do, both classes assignment because you might not be able to accomplish everything by week 4 for physics. So the other next thing would be tied to that is to have a weekly schedule to follow. So you want to look at your calendar, your weekly, and just like how, if you imagine, I think middle school and high school has those that they have a weekly schedule, daily schedule. You might want to have a weekly schedule to dedicate, okay, if Monday I'm dedicating 2 hours on this class, one class, and Tuesday I have 1 hour and I have a 3-hour slots. I'm dedicating all 3 classes. You want to have a overview for the whole week, so then you're balancing between your courses. Next strategy is a time blocking. Time blocking, I recommended my students to use usually when there is a major assignment. So which means that you're blocking maybe 2-3 hours that is dedicated to particular assignments. So those are just some, when we are talking about time management, those are some things to think through. And for people who have taken online classes, if you have other strategies for time management, feel free to share in the chat, because the more that we share, the more that we can support one another and allow all of us to be a good online learner. It's gonna be very different from one person to the other, but more strategies that we have means that's more tools in our toolbox allow us to use it, okay? So
We have a question.
Yes.
Jeff is asking, what is a syllabus?
Oh, great. So syllabus is a contract between you and the teacher. It will say, what are we learning? What are the rules that you need to follow? How the grade will be graded. And I will, because I will show you the syllabus once we get to the Canvas setting. If I do forget, usually I don't, but if I happen to forget, please remind me to show you what the syllabus look like. Okay. So next thing.
Sorry,
yes.
One more comment from a student, Emily, a tip saying to dress as in you're in class instead of in PJs.
Totally. Can you see me now? So I'm in my home environment, right? I work now as an administrator, then I work from 7 to 7, I would say. When I was teaching online or whenever I'm working, I dress like I get up, I get myself ready like I am going to work and I'm going to meet my students. And that's my mindset for myself. So Emily, that's a great tip. All the dress code, everything that's visual is gonna help us to remind ourselves and trigger our brain for learning. So great tips. Thank you so much. I need to put that in the slide next time. Okay. So next thing we are going to talk about learning environment, study space. Okay. If you are still working on getting a study space, give me A. B is study space. I already get it. I have a dedicated study space. I know what environment works best for me. I have the coffee ready next to me if you like coffee. So A, I'm still preparing for a study space. B, I have everything ready.
Okay, Luca says B, Jessica A, Emily B, Alberto B, PKA, B.
Good. So we have some A's and B's, and I noticed that people are B's are also probably people who already taken some online classes. I wasn't able to take a very comprehensive note, but whenever I hear it, I write it down to make a note for myself. So if you already have a dedicated space, whatever environment that works for you, great. Some people I have students who love kitchen countertop. That's where is his study area, because he said he just like to have access to his snack right away. That helps him. Whatever setting that boosts up your productivity. If you usually work in Starbucks, which means when I say working in Starbucks, it's not literally work for Starbucks. It's someone who are like me. I enjoy going to Starbucks 6 o'clock in the morning before my 9 o'clock class, and I'm sitting in there reflecting everything, read through all my slides again, getting ready for my students. If that's a setting that you usually have, then that means at home, you might need to have a cup of coffee ready, have a little light music playing in the background to help you. So trying to figure out what is the type of setting that boosts up your productivity. The basics for setting up study space is high-speed internet. You make sure you have required books, materials, software. If you are taking, for example, business class, and you are going to create a spreadsheet in Access, a particular software, then you will want to make sure that software is ready in your device. You need to, some students ask me, oh, so I'm taking classes online, I don't need books anymore. Not necessary, it depends, because the faculty can say read chapter 1 and 2, and you need to have your textbook ready, so you can read chapter 1 and chapter 2. Any related materials, make sure that you either download it, have it ready before the class, or you have it online and very accessible if you are a very high-tech person. I have students who 100%, all the notes, everything, it's online. Even though he was taking my face-to-face class, every single note is all online, nothing. He has nothing on his desk besides his computer. But for online learnings, make sure you have headphones at least for listening to the lecture or discussion. So you can see that I have just a small set of headphones with the mic there. You don't always need it, but if you are listening to the lecture, I recommend you to have it because it allows you to listen clearly. Also, that if you are in a discussion and you don't have headsets, then your voice can echo to the room during the discussion, and which will be really hard to hear for others. Okay. So next thing is about for learning environment is distractions. I believe everyone has all different strategies to eliminate distractions. Everyone is going to be different. I think we all know some people are really good. Some of my students are really good at putting, just big headsets and then nothing was playing just to block sound. Whatever it takes for you. You might want to have block time slots and announce to the entire household, like, this is the time that I'm taking my online class, just be quiet, let me focus. For ourselves, it's to be able to study at home. It's to fight the urge to multitask at home. And I say at home because if you go to a coffee shop, even though it is not in the classroom, you most likely that you will be able to stay focused because nothing else that you can do. But in our house, in our apartment, it's a lot easier. There are so many things we could do, right? I believe everyone can think of a couple things that now that instead of listening to me, you could do something else. You could be thinking, oh, I'm listening to you, and I'm on the other side, texting on my phone, replying to my friends. Just that urge of multitasking. If you are doing time blocking for particular assignments or taking exams, I strongly recommend you, even though no one is going to reinforce that, turn your cell phone off when needed, okay? It is very distracting. We all use our phones. Even when I'm doing my learning, I'm still taking a lot of online classes just for fun and also to enhance my own professional skills. I would have to turn my phone off, or I have to put it in my bag, even though I'm in the online learning environment, just to make sure that you are eliminating distractions. If no tips would work and your Twitter and Facebook Messenger or Instagram message will keep popping up, then you can use some website blocker to block those temporary, so then you can focus. And some of the apps is like Cold Turkey or Freedom. Those are two apps that my student have told me that was useful. Okay, so if there's any apps that could help people to stay focused and eliminate distractions, feel free to share. Okay. So those are some tips about learning, and I believe there are more. If you think of, any what if question, like, well, it is harder for me to put it in the chat room, and I will do my best to give you all the strategies that I have used to support my students or my students has shared with me. Okay. So next So feel free to share over there. I'm going to move to Canvas so I can show you, what does that platform look like for you and how your instructor is going to interact with you. I'm going to shift the space here. And because I am no longer temporarily, I'm not teaching classes right now. So I am sharing with you a wonderful class built by a business instructor. Okay. So type number 1 in the chat room if you can see the Canvas screen right now. Okay, so this screen is no longer a PowerPoint. You see the pink box right outside. That's because I am not a student and I'm using a student view to show you what you see. If I show you what I can see as an instructor or a planner and designer, it's gonna show you a lot of different functions that you don't need to know. And with the limited time, I'm going to show you what would a student see. So first thing is to set up your dashboard. If you have taken a lot of classes, then you can go to course on the left, look at all course. And because I only ask one instructor, so I only have one class that's being accepted, enroll as student, you can put a little star here and you can highlight them. Once those are highlighted, then that's what's gonna show on your dashboard. Okay, so those will be on the top of your list. So we are going to go into the course. Every home page is different. Every instructor designed their Canvas. This is the platform called Canvas. Every instructor designed it differently. So it really depends. You go in, you do need to know, how to navigate it a little bit. This instructor, the home page, it's same as the module page. Modules are things that they break it into chunks, a chunk of information. It could be based on a week. It could based on some instructor based on chapters. So it really depends. So you want to make sure that go to the home page and then go to the modules just to take a look. And for this instructor, because her home page is the module page, you can see things are almost identical. Okay. Next thing is, I believe I promised I will show you what syllabus is. So you will be able to download it. So for people who are really visual, you might want to download it, print it out on the side so you can highlight it. Okay. And if you are someone who's you learn better by doing, then highlighting it, write it down, it really helps you. In online, everything is typing. Sometimes it doesn't register to our brain on a lot of knowledge. That's just how our brain functions. So syllabus has all the information that you need, how to contact the instructor. If this, when the contact hours and responding time, most likely it's gonna be 1 business day to like 2 business days. So 24 to 48 hours. It might not fit your needs when you have questions that need to answer. So the best way is actually make friends in the online classrooms, because a lot of questions could be just reach out to a classmate, you will get the response. And then also check if the faculty, the instructor has a page that's called frequently asked questions or Q&A board. Make sure that you subscribe it, and I will show you the function as well. So that's some ways to engage and then to get the answer faster instead of waiting for faculty. The other thing is that on the left-hand side here has an inbox. So this one is dedicated for Canvas. I would say if you have things that you want to email your instructor, use inbox instead of your regular email system, because every single instructor will receive a lot of emails from different people, from the college, from their deans, from their colleagues, but the inbox is here in the Canvas system dedicated for Canvas questions. And so if you are taking online classes and you send this message here, most likely faculty will see it even before it doesn't get lost as easy as in their regular email. And so for in the syllabus, you will find the required course material. And I believe in the online bookstore, you could click on your course, you will also see the material, and it will allow you to order online as well. So here has the order to the Paper Tree Bookstore. They are doing the free shipping to help everyone, to let students get the material. So if you have not put in the order for your materials, you might want to do it soon, because today is April 1st, and happy April Fool's Day. And our quarter will start April 6th, okay? So that next thing, that syllabus is gonna contain all the information related to what you're gonna learn. Those are things that you're gonna learn. By end of the quarter, you're gonna learn all those. And the other thing I would check very carefully is this. It's about, sometimes they would say major activities. Sometimes it would say grading systems. This is a place you want to pay attention, because this is where you know what are the major assignments. Take an overall look. You will see that this instructor is using points. Some instructor use percentage, okay? But you will look at, I break it down and I know, okay, for example, if now I'm looking at this one, I know I need to pay attention to every single small assignments. This instructor is not giving me huge, big chapter test, but just a lot of small assignments. So as long as I dedicate small piece of times every day, I should be doing well in this class, because assignments are small and shouldn't take. So those are the things that you will learn through it. And then she explained it all, every single assignment's detail in here, the grading scales. So this is one thing, those are things that you want to pay attention to in your syllabus. Then let's look at the modules again. In the modules that it gives you, if the instructor have a to-do list, this is always a good place to start. It means it will allow you to know, have an overall view, and that will help you plan out for that chapter or that week. If you see those chat box here, the symbol here, it means it's a chat room. It's a discussion. So when you go in, like yesterday, I posted, my name is Cheyenne Zhen. And so if you read through this, usually the first activity, it's about introducing yourself. It's the best way to make friends. So once you introduce yourself, look at other people's and then respond it to them. So you can hit reply down here, then you reply to that person. And if you are putting it up here, then you're doing a new post, okay? And if there is a Q&A page, like every discussion, they would have a function. If you can subscribe it, you want to make sure you subscribe if there is a frequently asking question page, like Q&A page. You want to make sure you subscribe those. Or if there's an announcement, if some instructor will have an announcement page, and make sure then you subscribe those. Then they will give you notification through your emails. Next thing would be, if you see this rocket ship, that's an exam, okay? That's a quiz. So like this teacher has a syllabus quiz. And so you go in, you will have tell you to start taking the quiz, okay? And they will tell you, pay attention, sometimes they have 5 attempts, right? So that means that if you don't understand, you can go back and look at it again, and then come back and take it again. For assignments, yesterday there are some students asking me assignments. I'm going to click this one, Module 1 Canvas assignment, because some of the assignments here is to the other software. So for example, if I'm in the assignments here, tell you all the requirements for this, and you are going to read through it. And once you, sorry, I clicked the wrong button on the okay. Yesterday I submit one assignment. So usually here on top here we say submit assignment. And once you complete it, they will say submitted. Okay. And if you need to resubmit, if the instructor allow you to resubmit, then you can do it. So it's just like how you answer on the Word document. I strongly recommend you to do it on a Word document, copy paste into this, just in case if you lost the connection, you don't lose everything that you have worked on. Some instructors allow you to resubmit assignments as long as it's actually before this due date and time, then it will be graded the same way. once you submit it after the due date, sometimes it will get accepted if they allow you to, and then it will say late submission. It's very clear. So when it's online learning, make sure you have a buffer time, you have a buffer for when submitting assignments, because sometimes you submit it and but the internet connection is having problems, but you are meeting the deadline. So you want to make sure you submit it, at least try it 2 hours beforehand. So you have 2 hours window if something happened to you. The other thing, I'm going to leave this assignment to check would be the grading, the grades. So here I submitted, but I have not received a score yet. So those are places that you can put in, you know, what you will be doing. You will see what the score that you get. There is a as if function. The what if, it means that if, as a student, I take a guess. What if I got 10 out of 10 on this one? Or, well, I really just have a lot of challenges in life and I have to give up some assignments. And this one is 10 points only. I think I'm gonna let it go. What if I got 0? And then you type in 0 and then they calculate what are your final, how does that impact your grade? So, but remember, once you use the what if, it is a what if. It's not a real grade that you are receiving, okay? So make sure that you also check. And if there's any homework that you submitted and you didn't see the grades, after maybe 4 days, sometimes a week, then ask your instructor, like, I'm just checking, you know, I don't see, or if you doubting the grade. Because in the past, it have happened within my 10 years, there was once that for whatever reason, I type in the grades and it turned out to be 0 on student's side. And so just make sure that you check and then write it down, okay? Great. So now we have met online. We are friends now, and I don't see your face, but next time when you see me on campus, feel free to say hi. My name is Taiyan Zheng, and feel free to introduce yourself. So, you know, we will meet each other on campus, and if you come and stop by, Kent, my main office is over at Kent, and I also have a office over Wettrick building that's in the almost to the forest. So feel free to stop by. Just say you want to see the dean, and you have a friend who's a dean. Yeah, and good luck to your online learning. It's a learning path. It's a fun one. Sometimes you might feel lonely in the online learning environment. So I would say engage with people and chat with people in your online classroom will really help you to build a better experience through this quarter.
Alberto says, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for, you know, getting up early, joining me, and wish you all the wonderful things happen for the coming quarter and have fun learning. Learning is fun and it should be fun.